everyone. Thank you so much for hopping on with us this morning. I know human resources and hiring is what's been talked about in the news lately, so we are very excited to introduce Don Hicks. Don Hicks is an HR and risk management consultant with Sheakley, and Sheakley is a longtime partner with BBB for almost 30 years. Don is a professional in helping businesses grow. He also helps provide businesses with unique strategies and insights which will help in operating organizations more competitively and strategically. Don has over 25 years of business experience, earned his master's from Villanova University, and served in the United States Marine Corps. He enjoys watching movies, reading, and all types of sports. So please join me in welcoming Don Hicks with Sheakley for our presentation today.
So very good. Pam, you can still hear me, correct?
Yes, perfect.
Oh, awesome. Well, good morning, everyone. I promise not to keep you too long, maybe 45 minutes to an hour. So I really appreciate you coming in and joining this important conversation. So just to get things out front, I am going to challenge your thinking. You may be, this is gonna feel a little unnatural to you, some of the topics we're going to be talking about, and that's okay. The idea is to give you some information that will help propel your business and transform your organization. And I'm hoping to accomplish just a little bit of that today. So bear with me as I go through this, but it's going to really challenge your thinking. So we're talking today about human capital management, employees, human beings, people, and how that relates to your organization. Okay, so before I get started, does anyone know this person here? And if you don't, that's okay, because I didn't either until I started researching this topic. This gentleman his name is Ernest Shackleton. And let me tell you a really quick story, but I think it's going to resonate with as you think about your business and managing your employees and all of the challenges with hiring and recruiting and all of those challenges that we're dealing with today. Ernest Shackleton was a European explorer in the early 1900s. In 1913, one of the things he wanted to do was explore the Antarctic. That was his goal, but he knew he couldn't do it alone. But he had to hire a team. And what Mr. Shackleton realized is that he needed to hire and recruit candidates that believed in what he believed in. So he put an ad out in the newspaper in 1913, looking for other explorers that wanted to go on this journey with him. So this is the ad that he put out in the paper. And I want you to read it. I'm going to read it to you. This is the ad in the newspaper in 1913. And it says men, but remember this is 1913. But this is the ad. Men wanted for hazardous journey, small wages, bitter cold, long months of complete darkness, constant danger, safe return doubtful, but honor and recognition in case of success. That is the newspaper ad to recruit to join him on this journey. And you think of it in today's term, over 100 years later, who would join this cause? No money, cold, isolated, alone, and you're probably not going to return alive. But he was able to recruit. And what Mr. Shackleton realized, he recruited people that wanted to join his team, not because of any wages or bonuses or commissions or benefits or anything like that. He knew he had to have a team that believed in what he believed in, because it was just that dangerous. So he recruited using this ad, and it paid off. Why did it pay off? As they went through this expedition, they got stranded, and they were stranded for 22 months in the complete darkness. But here's the difference. Here's the distinction. Not one person died. Being stranded in the Antarctic in 1913s, not one person died. And the reason is he had a team that believed in what he believed in. That is human capital management. That is building a team for your organization that believes in what you believe in, not necessarily the pay or anything, any of those characteristics, but what they joined a cause. And I think that applies today. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're talking about human capital management. We are going to define what human capital management is. And by the way, if you think this doesn't apply to if you're a small business, if you have just yourself, if you have just a couple of employees, these principles matter. And they probably matter more to you than larger organizations. So this is not just for medium-sized businesses. These principles aren't just for large organizations. They apply to the small business market. So we're going to define what human capital management is. We're going to talk about why it's important to your organization. Whether you are the owner on this call, whether you are an executive on this call, whether you are an employee or a manager or a supervisor, you will take away something from these principles. We're going to also talk about what you can do for your business starting immediately. Actions that you can take. I'm going to make some recommendations for you, okay? So let's define human capital management. It's just that. It's human beings. Think of if you are a landscaper out there, if you own a construction company, think about the capital investments that you make in your business, the equipment. If you are in a manufacturing, and I'll just use a construction company as an example. So capital equipment, you may need to purchase a huge dump truck, and you'll spend $150,000 on that piece of capital equipment. And what do we typically do when you make that type of investment for your business? We purchase it, we insure it, we get insurance on it, we make sure that we hire the people to run it correctly, you know, we do maintenance on it constantly. Why? Because you made the investment in it. So that piece of equipment, and you can span that across any industry, whether you're running a landscaping company, whether you're running a dry cleaners, whether you're running a manufacturing company, whether you're running a veterinarian business, it applies across the board because you have operating capital that you have to maintain and invest in. But it's the same thing as our employees. It's managing the human beings that we have as employees for our company. So what does that look like? What is human capital management? It is the strategic approach of effectively managing people within an organization with the goal of helping you obtain a competitive advantage and enhance their performance. Is managing people, is human behavior. That is what human capital management is. So think of it about that capital equipment, that machine press, that dump truck, that dry cleaning press, whatever the case may be. Think about how you view that piece of capital equipment compared to human capital management. And I think over time, we have gotten away from that as organizations, as businesses. We pay a lot of attention to our products, our services, our capital equipment, and very little attention, or the wrong attention, to our most important asset, which is our employees. So human capital management about how you can get the best out of your people, not the most. And I think over the last 50 years, we've shifted to getting the most out of people and productivity and looking at that instead of nurturing and developing and training our people, whether you're a small company or a large company, it does not matter. The past, when talking about employee engagement, hiring the right people, managing employees through the pipeline, developing them, that was seen as administrative functions. How do you onboard someone? How do you do the payroll? How do you do all of the pay work and the benefits and the day-to-day? That's the past. It's still important, but that's the past. And I believe I've done seminars on this. I've done studies on this. I've studied this issue very well, because what we are experiencing today with the labor supply shortage, hear me when I tell you, it is not because of the $300 extra unemployment. There's something else going on there. There's something else going on here. and I've done seminars about this, the past. And there is a tremendous bright future for those organizations that want to reinvent themselves and they want to go into the future. The future of the labor markets, whether you are a solo proprietor or whether you have 3, 4, 5, 10 employees, the labor market is changing. And those that don't reinvent themselves, don't see or plan for the future, I'm afraid to say will be left behind. And I'm going to make my point here as I go through this presentation. But the labor market is about strategic thinking. It is no longer about the day-to-day administrative functions. Why? There's too many choices for recruits and candidates out there. There's too many, let me say that again. There are too many choices of where employees can work. The question is, what makes your organization unique? Why would a candidate want to work for you versus your competitor or just doing it on their own? So we're going to talk about strategy thinking, changing your mindset in regards to managing human capital and your employees. The future is hiring the right people, not the most people. And when I see these bonuses being offered, just work for me and I'll give you $500. I get it. Why businesses are doing that. It's not about that though. It's about hiring the right people and making sure that what you ask them to do is aligned with their skill sets. And we're going to talk about that. And the future about human capital management and organizational management and managing the organization is about ethical and cultural leadership. Ethical and cultural leadership, not just at the ownership level, but your managers and your supervisors and how they are engaging, training, and developing your employees. That is the future. It is not about just your benefits. It is not just how you pay your employees. It's not that I pay my employees on time, so therefore they should be happy. We are shifting and we are changing. If this was 1940s, 1950s, and so on, that was enough. It's no longer that way. The internet and the choices for employees are too great. And these principles matter whether you are a startup, whether you're a small company, or whether you're a medium-sized company. All of this matters. So why does it matter? Why does human capital management matter? Why is it so important? There's a few thoughts, and feel free, I forgot to mention this, if you have any comments, I may ask some questions, so get your fingers ready as we go through this. Please feel free to interact with me through chat, and Pam is watching that. So why does this matter? I call it the doing business as dilemma. The doing business as dilemma. I define that as your business grows, as productivity grows, as sales grows, then the theory states that you need to hire and increase the number of people that work for you, right? But here's the challenge. The challenge is, what if you can't find the right talent? And I remember talking about this about 10 to 15 years ago. One of the things I saw in the marketplace about 15 years ago is I saw a lot of people hiring employees, but they weren't developing them. They weren't training them. They weren't planning for retirements. And now one of the reasons we are dealing with a labor supply shortage is because of some of those shortcomings. I honestly believe that. So now organizations are in a position where they haven't trained and developed their employees. They haven't hired correctly in the first place. They have no succession planning in place. So they're in a place where I can't find the right talent. Okay. And we're going to talk about some things that you can do about that. So as your business grow, which all of us on this call, I'm hoping wants that, the challenge is, what if you can't find the right talent? What if your top employee or your top 2 or 3 employees left? And more devastating is, what if they went to one of your competitors? Okay. That is the challenge. So therefore, if you're a small business on this call, you have very little room for error. You can't afford to get this wrong. You can't afford to hire the wrong person. You can't afford to have your top employee leave your organization. You just don't have that room when you're competing with your products and your services, the things that you do for your clients and your customers. You just don't have that room. A larger organization can get away with that because they are larger. They have more room for error. If they are more established in the marketplace, if they have more employees, if they have more cash flow, they can get away from that, get away with that. As a small business, you can't. So that is a tremendous challenge that I see coming. So paying attention to your capital, your employees, your human capital matters. It matters because if you get this wrong as a small business, it is simply harder and longer for you to recover. It is devastating. So when a large organization, a Fortune 500 company, a Fortune 1000 company, a company with 3, 4, 500 employees, they can make those mistakes and recover a lot quicker than a 3, 4, 5 employee company. So these things matter. So what happens though, when you are faced with this position, and I talk to CEOs, business owners, community-based leaders on a weekly basis. And by the way, a pet peeve of mine is I try never to use the word nonprofit. Nonprofit is a tax term. It is not defining your business. So if you are a quote nonprofit on this call, I always try to use the word community-based organization, because every organization has to pay attention to the profit. Otherwise, you can't operate. Let me say that again. Every organization has to operate on a profit. So I just never like to use the word nonprofit because that is completely opposite to make a healthy, successful organization. But regardless of where you are, what happens when you don't pay attention to human capital management and you are working on a scaled down staff, what typically happens is what I call the multiple hats syndrome. So you have 3 or 4 employees, you have 6 or 7 employees, and now you're down to 5. What typically happens in order to compensate for that is you have the same employee doing multiple things. I get it. I understand the reason for doing that, but there's a cost to it. There's a cost for asking employees to wear multiple hats within the organization because there's an opportunity cost. And let me define that. In business school, there is a technical definition when talking about opportunity cost, okay? And is that hidden cost that will sneak up on you, is that hidden unconscious cost that a lot of businesses don't pay attention to. But the opportunity cost is when an employee is doing one thing, that means that something else is not getting done. Okay, think about that, let that sink in. Opportunity cost is the difference between when an employee has 4 things that they're responsible for, and if they're doing one thing, that means 3 other things aren't getting done. And that difference is a cost to the organization, okay? Because it blocks productivity. Something is not getting done. We're all human beings. We can only do so many things at one time. So paying attention to that maintenance of human capital, the maintenance of employees is absolutely critical. And I see a lot of small businesses that fall into this trap. They fall into and we're going to talk about that as we go through this presentation. But when you get to this point, multiple hats syndrome, that blocks productivity because things aren't getting done. And when things aren't getting done, it lowers the revenue. It's a pretty simple concept, but it's that hidden cost that people don't realize that sneaks up on you, and it erodes your bottom line. It erodes your revenue. It erodes morale in your organization. Because what I find, my experience, is that a lot of organizations, you have employees doing things that they have no experience in doing. And I'll just give you an example. I see a lot of and I get it. This is not meant to cast blame. I am just pointing out what I see and experience in the organization. I understand it, but I'm trying to get across on this training, this talk, is there a different way of doing it? But what I see as an example is they will take, an employee would take someone that has a technical manufacturing background. They work on, in the plant, and then they ask them, yeah, you need to do sales. You need to do sales, or you need to come in and do human resources, or you need to come in and do open enrollment for benefits, or whatever the case may be. So, and they have no experience in doing this. And they'll say, we'll train you. Here's the paperwork. Here's what you need to do. And the employee says, for job security, they'll say, okay, I'll do that, because they like working for you. But before you know it, they're wearing multiple hats. And over time, things may not be done correctly. They may not, you may have some compliance issues. You may have some morale issues because they get burned out. I can't tell you the number of calls I have on a monthly basis to this day where they say, Don, the owner asked me to do XYZ. I told them I don't have experience and they still want me to do it. And I'm telling you, that erodes morale and productivity within the organization. All right, so what do? No, you just don't bang your head against the wall. So hopefully some of these practices will resonate with you. The first thing I want to talk about, and I cannot stress this enough, is the focus on training and developing your employees. I cannot stress this enough. I was talking about this 10 or 15 years ago. There is simply not enough training and development and soft skills development, interpersonal skills development, customer service skills development in the marketplace. Consistent training. Even if your training is online, you don't have to send your employees to a 3-day conference in Florida. That's not what I'm talking about. But at a fraction of the cost, there's online courses that you can have your employees take, self-paced courses on hundreds and hundreds of skills that will maximize the productivity and give your employees those skill sets that has value to your organization. One of the biggest challenges, let me take a step back, that I see with businesses right now is you are, as a business, you are one click away from someone, your customers, completely ignoring you. Let me say that again. You are one click away on the internet from customers and clients and people that you serve in the community from ignoring you. And let me tell you a quick story. Here's how I know that's the case. And it's something that happened to me last night. So in my basement, I have a refrigerator, and that refrigerator died on me. It's old. It needed to be replaced. Okay. So my son and I decided to take out that refrigerator from my basement, and we were going to take it out to the trash. Well, it's in the back of the yard. I have a hill and I have steps, and the thing is just too heavy and too dangerous. I'll hurt my back in taking that out to the trash. So we left it there. All right. We left it there. And I said, I'm going to contact a company that will come and just haul it away. I'll just hire someone and they can come pick it up, recycle it, whatever they want to do. We can't do it. So I went on the internet and I typed in haul away companies in my city. And I came up with, 30 results. I forget the number. And I looked at that and I said, there's nothing on this list of companies that will entice me to call them. Nothing. They all seem the same. Some had a website, some did not, but there's nothing that stood out to me. So I started calling randomly. Now, that is what I mean by your clients and your customers. You're one click away from being completely ignored. Now, I asked myself the question, what if that company said, right, for my business, I have a haul away company. I'll come take your whatever you want to throw away and haul it away. What if there was an ad on that site that says, guaranteed call back in 15 minutes? Now think about that. I guarantee a call that you'll get a call from us in 15 minutes. But that's not what businesses do. Businesses says, click on my website and you'll get a call in 24 hours. 24 hours in our business environment is an eternity, and people will move on from you. Or businesses say, send me an email, and it's a generic email, info@xyzcompany.com, and I'll get back to you. By that time, your customers and your clients have moved on. They've moved on. So when I say these principles, training and development, making yourself unique to your client base, it matters because you're missing clients. Clients are moving on. So when you're talking human capital management, the jobs and skills that your employees have need to be aligned with whatever your objectives are for the organization. And by the way, let me get back to my example. So that's one idea to grab someone's attention, right? Contact me, my organization. I do dry cleaning, I do landscaping, I do construction, and guaranteed call back in 15 minutes. I guarantee you that the number of clients reaching out to you will increase. Why? Because no one else does that. What if your business, you say, click here, and you can be able to see someone's calendar and book an appointment right away. And by the way, this technology now, what I'm talking about, and if you can't be available to call someone back in 15 minutes because you're so busy and you don't want clients to move on, hire a virtual assistant. Hire someone. You can hire a virtual assistant for about $100 a month. Someone that will call your clients back that want to get information or want to do business. But more importantly, how about you have a calendar on your website that says to a customer, click on this calendar. You can see my availability and book an appointment with me. And there's tools out there that would do that for about $8 a month, right on your website. Calendly is one, CALENDY. It's about $8 to $12 a month. And now you have a client that wants to do business with you. They want to do a business with your employees, and the client can schedule an appointment without even talking to you. But now you have a booked appointment. Now you have a client that wants to do business with you. So these skills, it doesn't cost a lot of money. But you want to make sure that your employees, those soft skills, engaging with your customers, being available for your clients, those skills need to be developed through training and development, and even repurposing their skills if need be. If someone doesn't have experience in human resources and they are being asked to do that, maybe that needs to be repurposed to someone else. So I would encourage you to take a look at your entire skill set for your organization on one column, compared to what you actually want to do for your business in the marketplace, and see if they are aligned, see how they compare. And if there's no alignment there, you have a human capital management problem, which needs to be addressed, okay? But again, you want to recruit and communicate what makes your business unique. Remember that story. I needed a service. I went on the website, and there was absolutely nothing unique about the 30 companies that I looked up. And I asked myself the question, man, what a lost opportunity. I wish someone would pop up on my results and say, hire me, I guarantee this. Hire me, this is what makes me unique. And I'm afraid to say, remember, you're one click away from being ignored. Things like family-owned business, important, but a lot of people don't care. I hate to say that blunt. Saying things on your site like we're the best and we have the best customer service, great. You probably do. The market doesn't care. The market cares about what makes you different. What makes you unique of those 30 results when someone is looking to hire you or needs your service or needs your products or is looking to engage with you if you're a community-based organization and wants to participate in your mission for the community, ask yourself the question, what makes you unique? Not the fluffy stuff, not the we're the best, not the we've been around forever, not, I've been doing this for 25 years. No. And this is hard. This part right here is hard. But once you do it, once you communicate why your employees are unique, it matters. Once you pay attention to human capital management and you train your employees and your employees are certified in something, as an example, that's unique. Tell the market that. Tell the market that, listen, we invest in our employees. They go through a stringent, constant training program and they get training in XYZ. Tell the market that. That's what makes you unique. That's what's going to make you stand out. If I saw on a company's website that I'm thinking about doing business with, and I saw that my employees get training once a quarter, my employees are trained in customer service. By the way, my employees go through a stringent background check. That is another area I don't see companies talking about. I know that they do it, but man, I feel more comfortable doing business with a company where I know their employees are going through a background check. I want to know that. We sometimes, it's implied, or we think, or we hope that their employees are going through a background check, but you need to tell the market that. Otherwise, what are they going to do? They're going to ignore you. So those small little details about managing your employees, standing out and being unique, it really does matter. Know what's important for each of your employees. You're going to be surprised. And you will probably find out that what's important to each employee is not what you think it is. It is not more money in a lot of cases. Is not more commissions, is not more bonuses. You will be surprised. Sometimes it's not about benefits. It's none of those things in a lot of cases. What they're looking for is training and development. They want to develop their skills. What they're looking for is flexible time off, taking care of their family. What they're looking for is, where's the company going? Why do we do what we do? Why do we serve who we serve? Those are the things. Compensation and money is important. I don't want to downplay that, but it's not everything. So you need to have a conversation with your employees to say what's important to them. Some employees may be willing to take less money if they had more flexible time. All of this, what we're talking about right here, is managing your capital. Is that dump truck that you spend $150,000 on, that you're maintaining, you're getting insurance on. Companies do that. They will maintain their capital equipment, but sometimes they will ignore most of their important investment, which is their capital in their employees. So have a conversation with them, okay? Constant communication on where the company is going, and constant communication of why your company do what you do and who you serve. Again, it doesn't matter about the industry, but you need to remind your employees of why they do the work that they do. Why do you serve who you serve? And you need to nurture that. You need to highlight that. You need to communicate it. And what I find is that conversation is had when you're recruiting. When you are in recruiting mode, some of these things are talked about. When you are onboarding and that first day of work, some of these things are talked about. After a week of working for you, it's forgotten. It is. I know, because I talk to owners and I see this on a daily basis. And it's sometimes it's not intentional. So I don't mean to come across as companies or managers or owners are intentionally doing this. I don't want to give that impression. It is just we're not focusing on it. We don't see it as a priority like we do other capital investments that we have for our organization. And this will make you unique. This will help you recruit. This will help you stand out in the market. It's not easy and it's not natural. I get it, but it is absolutely vital. And the companies that I see that I see focusing on this, they stand out. The industrial mindset is shifting. And here's what I mean by that. The industrial mindset dates back to the 1930s when businesses were really focused on things like factories and assembly lines and producing and production, more. That is where we are with labor today. Companies are asking employees to do more. And employees aren't seeing it reciprocated. They're just not. So one of the reasons we're seeing a labor supply shortage, I think some employees, they don't like that model. And the momentum is shifting away from that industrial thinking, more productivity, more revenue. But when they don't see you investing in their best benefits or their training and development, they say, does my employer really care about me? Do they? Or is there some other alternatives? So nurturing those relationships, nurturing that human capital, and shifting your mindset. And a lot of this, in my opinion, and I've studied this, I don't think our high schools have done us any favors. I don't think our business schools have done us any favors. And I don't think our workplace have done us any favors. That is the mindset. Graduate, go to school, industrial mindset, more, productivity, revenue, and that's it. And every year, every decade, it gets a little bit more. And now there's a convergence of dynamics that's causing the challenges we're going through now with labor supply and choices and keeping people happy and mental stress and all of these things. So I ask you that the mindset from this industrial thinking and not paying attention to employees and is shifting and is moving towards strategy, collaboration, communication. And some on this call, I know this is difficult for you because you're used to that industrial thinking, and I don't blame you. I used to be as well. And someone on this call may be thinking, dang it, my employees should be thankful that they have a place to work. I know some of you are thinking that, and that's okay. But I tell you, that is shifting. The shift is moving away from the employer and is moving towards the employee. And the reason why, there's too many choices out there for employees. And let me give you a quick story. If you ever heard, a lot of what I study and listen to that resonates with me, I study and listen to a lot of Simon Sinek, and I listen to a lot of Seth Godin. So I would encourage you, as you're managing your business, check those two out. A lot of my philosophy and study and so forth comes from them. But you think, and the reason I know what I'm saying is true, just think of Uber. There is nothing different about Uber, technically. They have cars that drive people to a destination. Taxi cabs thought Uber was ridiculous. But what does Uber have that taxi cab companies don't? And I'll give you a minute to, not a minute, I'll give you a couple of seconds to think about that. What does Uber have that taxi cab companies don't? Unique. It's a unique experience. Remember we talked about unique? It's convenient. It's an easier experience. That's the same thing that's happening across all industries, all platforms, everywhere. Whether you're a landscaper, dry cleaner, construction, manufacturing, those companies that are, there's nothing that Uber does that the taxi cab industry can't. Think about that. There's nothing that Uber does that a taxi cab company can't. But they have figured out that they are unique. The experience is different. They are changing the marketplace. Uber has technology, drivers, and cars. They have access to the same technology that the taxi cab companies does, but they have repackaged it differently. So when I say unique, this is not theory. You can, there's tons of examples. Amazon drivers. So when you say, Don, employees should just be happy to have a job with me, I think that's dangerous, because now those employees, they have an opportunity to work for Uber today. They can go work for Uber. They can go and drive for Amazon. There are choices. They can start a business online. So it's going to take more work for organizations and owners and managers and supervisors to engage with their employees using strategy, collaboration, and communication. The days of the 9 to 5 thinking, it is dying out, and is dying quickly. So those organizations that shift their mindset from 9 to 5, more, productivity, I don't have time to spend with my employees, training and development, can't pay attention to that, don't have time. I'm telling you, those that reinvent themselves and get into the strategy, collaboration, human capital part of nurturing these relationships, those are the ones that are going to stand out. Trust me when I tell you, okay? So hopefully this makes some sense. So as we wrap up, I know that this may sound or seem unnatural to you. It's okay. The things that I'm challenging you to rethink, it comes from decades and decades of businesses doing business the same way. But the market, as I mentioned, is shifting. So you may be thinking, Don, I don't buy what you're saying. I don't believe it. Um, it doesn't feel right to me. It feels time consuming. I get it. Um, I understand. But let this sink in. Let this sink in for you, and hopefully you will rethink, and just it's okay to be a little uncomfortable about these concepts, but there are companies doing it. Remember my example, Uber, Amazon, so forth and so on. Um, Talk to your employees and talk to your candidates. Really talk to them. Really understand what drives and motivates them. It's time consuming. You're going to have fires you need to put out and things that you need to do. In some of those cases, they can take a back seat in some cases while you engage with your employees, while you nurture and maintain what we call human capital management. Your most important asset is your employees. It's not the dump truck. It's not the dry cleaning press. It's not the tractor if you have a landscaping company. All those things are important, but your most important asset by far is your people and your human capital and your ability to stand out and nurture this. And again, focus on what makes you unique. Every one of you on this call is a little bit different. It's a little bit, you have something different the way that you do it. Don't be afraid to highlight that. And it's those small things. It doesn't have to, you don't have to spend thousands of dollars. You don't have to completely change necessarily how you're doing things. It's those small things that make you unique and stand out. And find out what that is for your organization. Find out what that is. And take some kind of action. If you don't fully buy into what I'm saying, I get it. But take some type of action to rethink, re-engage, and even do it incrementally. You don't have to do all of this today, but just change something incrementally and build upon that. Change one thing and then see if that works, and then add to it and build on it and build on it. Okay? But I do not want this presentation to come off as doom and gloom. I think this is a tremendous time, particularly for small businesses, to reinvent themselves and tap into markets that the large organizations aren't paying attention to. I absolutely believe that. This is one of the most fascinating, interesting times that for those that embrace it and lean into it, you can really do something special with your organization and those that you work with and those that you hire. I just hope you're ready to rethink the way we've been doing businesses for decades. So I do think it's a really, really exciting and bright future. Coronavirus or not, I think It is absolutely fascinating. Some of the best businesses were started, developed, and grew through depressions and wars and so forth. You probably have heard that, but it's true. So I do think that the future is bright. I'm going to leave you with a story, and then we will, if there are any questions, we will wrap up with this. And this is a story about motivations, how mindset, how a business and inventors think about things. I don't know if you heard the word or the name Samuel Langley. Samuel Langley was a pilot and inventor that was really trying to develop flight. This is before we had airplanes and what we have today. But Samuel Langley was well known. He was well funded. He was funded by the War Department. It was called the War Department then in the 1800s. The War Department is now the Department of Defense. He was famous. He had the best minds. He had the best team. All of his team that was trying to develop what we now call flight, commercial flight, had advanced degrees, and he had the best of the best, Samuel Langley. The problem with Samuel Langley is that he was motivated by fame and celebrity. What he didn't count on was two brothers in Dayton, Ohio, Orville and Wilbur Wright. Orville and Wilbur Wright had no money. They own a bike shop in Dayton, Ohio. They did not have college degrees. They really didn't have, anyone on their team did not have a college degree. No one knew of Orville and Wilbur Wright. But here's what they did that Samuel Langley did not have. They had motivation. They had a why. They knew exactly why they were doing what they wanted to do. And that was to develop a way to change the world, to change flight. So they wanted to be unique. And obviously we know now in 1901, 1902, they were the first to develop flight. But here's the difference between Orville and the Wright brothers and Samuel Langley. When Samuel Langley heard that the Wright brothers had figured out and flew for that very first time, he didn't embrace it. He didn't say congratulations. He didn't say, oh my God, how I can make this better. Samuel Langley got jealous. He took up his tools and he quit. He absolutely quit because he wasn't motivated by the right thing. So those of you, those companies that want to embrace the future, that want to change their thinking, that want to think a little bit differently, be a little bit different, be a little bit unique. I don't care if you're a 2-employee company, 6-employee company, 7-employee company. You don't have to be the most well-known. You don't have to be the most well-funded, but you have to have the right people. You have to have the right motivation in order to propel and do something special that you want to do for your business. So hopefully you found this helpful. I would recommend that if you want to know more about these dynamics and human capital management, I would recommend reading this study. It's actually done by a professor right in our backyard from Case Western Reserve. It's a little bit dated, 2004, but it's really, really good reading if you want to understand more about human capital management, how that looks, why it works the way that it works. My contact information is here. I really appreciate those that's been on this call. I want to thank the BBB and Pam and her team for sponsoring this and marketing this and communicating this. I hope that you got something from this. If you have any questions, want to talk further about this, I'm always open to discussing this. My contact information you can see on the screen, or you can go through the BBB. We really appreciate it. So I will stop there. I will turn it back over to Pam.
Thank you, everyone. We appreciate it, and keep a lookout for your emails for upcoming webinars. Don will be back in a few months, so keep a lookout.